Hey everyone, I'm Frankie Stokes, your host for Varsity Voice. Tonight we have former Central basketball head coach Frank Greco. I have a phone interview with Academy of Notre Dame girls basketball head coach Mary McNichol as she completed her 500th career win on Sunday over Mount St. Joseph. And later we have sideline reporter Chris Markowitz, who caught up with Neumann-Goretti player Christian Ings over their victory over Roman over the weekend. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Coach Frank, thank you for joining us tonight.
My pleasure, Frankie.
You know, it's a little weird for me because I am a Northeast grad and you're a Central guy, but I'm willing to put that aside to get this interview tonight.
Fair enough, fair enough.
So, you know, tell us about your experience. You were at Central for over 20 years, I think 28 to be exact.
Yep. I'm a Central grad, and both of my kids are, Tina and Tim. And I arrived at Central, and I was fortunate enough, I coached boys basketball for the first 7 or 8 years that I was there. And then my daughter played under the old coach who won the public league title. He retired, and then she kind of nudged me to say, come on, Dad. So I took over the girls program at that point. And we had a run of unbelievable success from that point on.
Now, it's true that you had a career victory streak of 101 games? We
won 101 consecutive games, so during a 5-year stretch, we lost not one league game, including quarterfinals, semifinals, public league championship games in that stretch. And then in year 6, we won all our games up until the Northeast game, where Northeast came out and played just an inspired ball game. And, you know, game 102, they defeated us. The good news is we got them back in the playoffs a couple weeks later, which was a good thing for us to be able to face them again. But it's something that I'll never forget, the kids will never forget, and I don't know that anybody's going to get 101 games consecutive the way things are nowadays.
So just to backtrack a little bit, before your time as the boys head coach, have you held a coaching position prior to that?
Yes, I was at West Philly High, and I was the JV boys basketball coach for 6 years. And I learned under Joey Goldenberg, who was probably one of the preeminent high school coaches in the area. And I learned a lot. So I was ready. When the time came that the opportunity arose, I was ready to take my shot.
Now, did you have your eye on the Central coaching job, or would you just hope that just one day it would just fall into place?
I hope one day it would fall into place, but the old coach retired. And I actually got a phone call from the athletic director because the people at Central knew I was a graduate and I was coaching at West Philly, and they asked me, would I be interested? I said, sure. So I went for an interview, and then there had to be arrangements made because very few people in those days were able to teach at School A and coach at School B. And I think I was the second at the time. I think there was a man named John McEnany who was at Northeast, and he was coaching the football team at Frankfurt. So I followed those footsteps.
Okay, so being there for so long, what was the one thing that just kept you coming back so you didn't pursue any other job openings?
I tell you what, we had great kids. Once we started the program, I had a couple of men. I had Ron Montgomery and Vince Parzial and Dave Jones and Mark Safer and Liston Knowles. We made up a team of 6 men, and we were able to divvy up practices. We thoroughly enjoyed the kids. The kids worked so hard that it was rewarding. It was unbelievably rewarding that we really had no desire to leave. We look forward year to year to new kids coming in. And once the program started to flourish, year after year, I would like to tell you what a great coach. But the reality is when you have great players, it makes things so much easier. And year after year, we had wonderful, wonderful players come into Central who were bright and who could play. And it made the program just flourish one year after another.
Now, with your success, you obviously had a significant role in Central and their history. Are you still involved with the school at all today?
Yeah, to this day, I still go in and I chat with the athletic director in case there's questions. But the big thing I still do is I'm still involved in helping them with their graduation. So they gave me a wonderful career. I'm a Central grad, and this is hopefully my way to give back a little something back to them.
Okay, well, don't go anywhere. Coming up next, we have a phone interview when I talked to Academy of Notre Dame basketball head coach Mary McNichol, and she just celebrated her 500th win on Sunday over Mount St. Joseph.
I'm Frankie Stokes here with varsity basketball head coach Beth McNichol. Coach, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
So on Sunday, January 14th, you recorded your 500th career win over Mount St. Mary. You know, that's such a great career milestone. What does that mean to you?
It means a lot. You know, been in the business for 27 years. You know, and it worked really hard, but I've been very fortunate to be at the same school for so long, and you know, it's been a great ride. The school's been great to me. I've had great assistant coaches over the years. I've had great players over the years. So it's been a lot of fun, and I was really, you know, touched by you know, all the accolades.
Now, walk us through the environment that day. Was this something that you were aware of, like this could happen?
Yeah, I was aware of it. We knew I needed 8 wins before the season started, but we were like trying not to talk about it and make such a big deal about it. You know, the kids have enough pressure on them, so we really didn't want to, you know, put any more pressure on than we needed to. So we were actually playing in the Scholastic Play-by-Play event at Jefferson University. They had probably 30 teams maybe playing, so it was kind of exciting. You know, I guess it would have been nice to do it in our home gym, but this gym was filled with all kinds of other high school basketball coaches and a lot of basketball people, so it was kind of neat doing it there. The kids did know about it. They were told kind of at the last minute, you know, the last week or so, that I only needed a couple, and they were fabulous. They played great. You know, the game was never in question, so that made it a little easier too. You know?
So were you guys able to celebrate at the away gym, or?
Yeah, we were able to celebrate it. They would, you know, the people that ran the event were aware of what was happening, so it kind of delayed the next game for a few minutes, and, you know, the kids had flowers and big, huge, giant balloons and a big banner, and then we kind of moved off into the lobby and had some more celebration there, so it was really nice. And the school's going to do something we have our next home game is Friday against Springside, Chestnut Hill Springside, and they're going to do something before the game on Friday so that the Notre Dame community can be there. So,
and you've been there for 27 seasons now. What has been the one thing that has kept you there this whole time?
You know what? It's the program. You know, it's always been good. We've been really fortunate that we've had a lot of, you know, pretty good basketball players that have wanted to come and play there. It's a great community. I work there at the school too. I'm the assistant business manager, so it's just kind of been a really nice fit, you know, and I was always happy, and there was always the next round of kids like, oh, I could never leave this group, I could never leave this group, so it's just kind of, you know, kept prolonged because of that.
And one of your assistant coaches has also been there for 23 seasons.
Correct.
How comforting is it to have, you know, the same person there basically since day one for you?
Yeah, she's been with me through, you know, she missed the first couple of years, but she's been with me through, you know, thick and thin, and it's great. We have a great relationship together. She works really hard at her craft. And, you know, I had another assistant who left a couple of years ago, but she was with me from day one. Her name was Sue Fallon. She was with me for 20-some years. So I've been really fortunate, you know, to have such great assistants. I've always had all women. I've never had a male assistant. I just kind of always thought that if I could find women that would do this, you know, like we would be great role models for kids. So I've had a lot of assistants, and they've all been women, and it's been a lot of fun with the people I've worked with.
So last season, you guys fell short in the second round of the championship tournament. What are you going to have to do differently this season to go all the way and take it home?
I think this year, I mean, we're a whole different team this year. We have a lot more speed this year. We're young. We don't start any seniors at all. We're sophomores and all sophomores and juniors. Because taking us we had a really tough schedule this year. We don't have any size. We thought we were going to have some size, and we had a player that decided to devote her time to volleyball, so we lost what size we had. But the kids that played, stuck in there, played this really tough schedule. We kept telling them that the schedule will pay off in the end for us. And we just, in the last week or so, just really seen that it's all come together. I mean, we played really well on Sunday. I think it was a combination of we're finally gelling. It's, not just that I was getting, this milestone, but I think that this year, now that we've gotten some experience, we'll be a little bit more, ready for the PASA tournament.
Okay, and for all of the young coaches out there, what would your bit of advice be for them?
I really hope that we can, make sure that we're attracting young coaches. The game needs young coaches. I'm finding that, it's less and less because, the amount of hours, to put in. My daughters I have twin daughters that are both head coaches. I don't know if you knew that or not. One's the head coach of Springfield Delco, and the other one's the head coach at Harrison High School. So I'm proud of them, and I tell people all the time, they can do it, you can do it, get back to the game. And both of them have 3 female assistants each who all played the game. So I just keep saying, get into it. It's fun. It is time, but, the game needs you, and you have a lot to give. So that's been my kind of my message.
Okay, Coach. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a great night.
You too. Good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you so much. Take care.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Welcome back. Coming up next, we have more from Coach Greco as we talk about his experience on the softball field at Central High School. Don't go away.
Hi, I'm Tommy Green, former pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. When I was in high school, it was very important to me to show scouts what I could do. My friends at Payroll Service Solutions are huge supporters of high school sports and the Sports Fan Base Network. If you're a small to medium-sized business in need of a payroll company, contact Payroll Service Solutions. Not only will they take care of you, they will continue to support the community. For more information, contact Payroll Service Solutions at 215-624-0922 or 866-PAY-EASY.
So, Coach Greco, most people associate you with your success with the basketball team. Tell everybody about what you did with the softball team.
Well, I started the program at Central. There were no girls until the 7 girls came to the school. And a couple years in, a couple of kids in gym came and said, hey, Greg, how about we can start a softball team? And we did. And after a couple of years, I learned softball because I played baseball. We had a string of success that was unparalleled. We won maybe 9 or 10 out of 11 public league titles. Won 55 games in a row, 1 point, won another 40 at another point. And it's something I'm really proud of because I built it from nothing. I learned, the kids learned, and it's just something very, very special to me. And on that, my daughter, Christina played for me both basketball and softball. And Benny and Corey and Adri G and Renata and Darren and Tim, they're all in Punta Cana. Hey, guys. I'm sorry.
No, that's quite all right.
So, but yeah, it's just something close to my heart. How many people get to start something from scratch with not having a ball or a bat and build it into a really, really successful program? So it really means a lot to me.
So going back to basketball, during the break, we took a question from one of our viewers and a familiar face, Jack Cap, and I know you know him personally as well.
Yep.
And he wants to know your preference for coaching, boys or girls?
It's different. But the girls were more open to improvement. As an example, I would show somebody how to shoot a foul shot. Then I'd walk to the other end of the gym and I'd turn around and look back. And they were back doing it their own way. Whereas the girls, you could see that if I had told them put their elbow in, they would go out and they would try to do what you asked. So they were a little bit more cooperative in terms of trying new things, trying to learn new things. And also our coaching style was different with the girls because we had so many talented players, as I had said to you off camera. Sometimes we were playing 5 girls for 4 minutes and then sub 5 more girls in for 4 minutes. Guys will be a little bit more difficult saying, well, I'm not playing my minutes. But the girls, once they saw that how successful we were, they were much more adaptable. The boys were a little bit not quite as adaptable, let's say.
So if you can, try and think back between each sport, basketball and softball. What was one of your favorite moments from your time with each team?
Well, I must say that with the boys, we were, during my time, we got to the semifinals at the old convention center where Wilt played. And we played against Gratz, who had Rasheed Wallace and Aaron McKee. I mean, just a great team. And before the game, a riot broke out on the court. And they were talking about, well, let's not play the game. And fortunately, Coach Ellerby, myself, the principals, and everybody, we stood there and said, no, this game has to be played regardless of the circumstance. And it was just a wonderful moment for us to get to that game. And to get to that game, we had to beat West Philly in our gym, in a gym that sat 200 and had 600 in it. Those two things were the most incredible. On the girls' side, there's a couple things. During our streak, we were losing to Gratz with 10 seconds to go in the game, and a young lady named Sarah Jones steals the ball, goes in, basket, overtime. We win in overtime. And then there was a different game where we ran a play, we missed a shot, and the girl, Rachel Drayton, down the lane, offensive rebound buzzer, we win the game to keep our streak alive. The championship games were all special, but those two games stand out during that streak.
And for softball?
Well, for softball, just the fact that it took us about 3 or 4 years to get to a point where I knew how to coach softball. I make no bones about it. And the kids were practicing. They were going home and they were getting their fathers and mothers out in the yard, making them throw and catch and do. And you could see the improvement. Just the fact that we started to compete with all comers. We traveled to play some suburban teams, and we were competitive. We might not have beat them, but you're in a 5-3 game, and we just knew. The first championship game, there was a young lady, Paula Smith, and I said to her, look, I said, when you hit the ball, I said, you really got to go. She was very fast. Ground ball to shortstop. As a matter of fact, we were playing girls high. And she beat the throw to first. And after that, the door opened. And we just won and won and won. But that particular moment just set a tone that we just had unbelievable success. And we had great kids that got a chance to play in college, softball. Catherine Longshore played in college. Linda played in college. They're just so many kids that came through there that were just exceptional. Chrissy McVeigh, I mean, there's just a list of kids that I could mention that got a chance, and they made the program very, very special.
So speaking of girls high, you guys are in such close quarters with one another. What was that atmosphere like on game day when you knew you had to face girls high?
I think at the beginning it was a little bit difficult because we were the new kids on the block. And, they handled us pretty good. But I think after a couple of years, they saw that the kids were dedicated. They saw that I was dedicated in terms of trying to make the program really good. And I think then it became kind of an amicable, neighborly type of game. And we played hard, don't misunderstand me. But it took a couple of years for them to really realize that, A, it was for real, and B, that I was really into working hard, practicing, and the kids were doing it. And you could see, I mean, the coach at the time from Girls High could see that year after year we made a lot of progress. And I think once we got to that point, she was very open and accepting for us to say, okay, hey, this is good. It's a good rivalry. More parents came out because whether it's our field, their field, a lot of kids came out, and it became really a wonderful game to play.
Now, for all of the up-and-coming coaches that are watching right now, what would your one piece of advice be for them?
Well, I'll say this. I coached, I did West Philly for 6 years. Before that, I sat on a bench at University City with Steve Kane. I sat on a bench at Ben Franklin with Vince Trombetta and Kenny Hamilton to learn. Nowadays, you get a lot of coaches, they come out of college, within a year they're a head coach. Practice. Go coach a summer league, really get some experience as a head coach in dealing with kids. And now softball, I had never coached softball, and it took me 3 or 4 years of coaching the girls to understand the game, understand the psychology. And in basketball, I had maybe 10 years of experience before I took over a head job. So my biggest thing would be somehow or other, get experience, summer league, somewhere where you're the coach, you make the decision, so that when you step into a head high school coaching job, you're really ready.
Coach, thank you so much for being here tonight.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
And coming up next, we have our sideline reporter, Chris Markowitz, catching up with Neumann-Goretti, Christian Ingus, after their victory over Roman on Friday. Stay tuned.
For the Sports Fanbase Network, I'm Christopher Markowitz, and I'm here with Christian Ings of Neumann-Goretti High School. The Saints just pulled off a 56-54 victory over Roman Catholic. Christian, it was a back-and-forth game throughout, came down to the last possession. What were your emotions throughout the game, and particularly down the stretch when you guys had to seal the deal at the end?
My emotion coming out to finish the game off was Coach Carl said that they haven't lost in this gym in almost 8-9 years, so we had to make sure that the tradition kept going, and we definitely couldn't lose in here, especially the Roman, our rivalry. This is a game to set the tone for the PCL, and we just try to make sure we win all big games so we can have a great place to play in when playoff time comes around.
You led the way with 21 points tonight, 17 in the first half. What were you feeling in that first half that allowed you to get things going offensively?
This is, I think the basket felt like it was wide as the ocean. I just felt like I couldn't do no wrong. So when I had the opportunity, I attacked. I started out early, passing to make sure I could be open. But then when I seen my opportunity to go, I just in attack mode always.
You had a chance to go up against Lynn Greer, who's regarded as one of the better point guards in the PCL. You played pretty well against him. What was that matchup like? What was it like to go up against Greer?
He's a friend of mine, you know, on and off the court during the summertime. We're great friends, so going up against him, we knew we had a little chip on our shoulder against each other, trying to see who can come out on top. I just had to make sure that I set the tone on defense and made sure that he couldn't stop me on offense, and that's how I knew I could win.
You're in your junior year here at Neumann-Goretti. So what are your thoughts, looking ahead, maybe not just for this season, but for college and for the future of your career, basketball and academically?
For basketball, I love to go to a high major Division I and maybe take my talents to the NBA. But if I don't seem to make it to the NBA, I would like to be a physical therapist and work with athletes, keep their bodies in tip-top shape so that they can come out every game and play as hard as they want.
Well, Christian, congrats on the win, congrats on the
Thank
performance, and good luck going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Coach, one more question before we head into our final break. What was some of the biggest life lessons you learned as a coach?
One, hard work. There's no substitute for going every day. There's no substitute for listening to your kids and being open to their suggestions and being willing to compromise when they had a good idea. And they did. There's sometimes, Coach, we should try this. So, okay, that's a pretty good idea. Let's give it a go. So, but realistically, the hard work and really listening to your kids and looking out for your kids as if they were your own were the two most important things, and those kids have given back to me 1,000-fold.
And that was another question from one of our viewers. And stay tuned. We'll have more Varsity Voice after the break.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have spent 3 days with one of the most insane program, okay, I have witnessed in my 17-year career. It excites me, the presence of point blank period, of Coach Dooley, of Coach Stallard, of the people that he works out with, that he trains with, okay? It's exciting. And you have had the luxury of spending 3 awesome days with these people. I watched Coach Farrell play. Mr. Coach, you watch Coach Farrell play? He is one of the most annoying basketball players you will ever see in your life. Okay? Because exactly what he trains, exactly what he preaches to you, he does at all times. This is real habit. This is not a gimmick. This is real basketball. Real basketball. Something that he has found success with. He has spread the word.
Coach, thank you again for joining us tonight. And viewers, thank you as well. Be sure to check out our programs for next week as well. So on Monday, I'm going to use my cheat sheet. On Monday, we have our 3 in the Key, which covers boys basketball. On Tuesday, we have On the Mat, which covers New Jersey high school wrestling. And on Thursday, we have In the Paint, which is girls basketball. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, as well as follow the SFBN on social media. Thank you again. I'm Frankie Stokes, your host of Varsity Voice. Hope to see you next week.